Well, we're very excited to have you here.
How excited are you?
Very.
On the excitometer, how high does that go? Wow, that's pretty excited.
When you say there, folks, about there, very excited. And we're thrilled to have you here. We're having a great time. And like I mentioned before, I'll tell you, Will and Babs, as well as Betsy and the whole gang, this is a fun, entertaining group. And for those of you who are meeting them tonight or last night for the first time, speaking from Brian and the whole gang, this has been a great joy for all of us. Thank you for coming.
I want to congratulate you and your wife for creating this miracle. I mean, this is the mecca of movies. When I was a kid, I grew up in a little place called Atwater, which is between the mighty LA River and the Glendale train tracks. And we were right next to Griffith Park, and the great director, King Vidor, used to say, "A tree is a tree, shoot it in Griffith Park." And by George, they did. And every time we heard they were making a movie over there, we'd hop aboard our Schwinns and race across the bridge. And I became movie crazy very young. And I was even in a W.C. Fields movie, Never Give a Sucker an Even Break.
Really?
Yeah, there's a big chase at the end where the fire engine gets hooked up with W.C.'s car, and they pull a U-ey right on Glendale Boulevard. And in the background, you see a crowd. I'm in that crowd. We got a free lunch.
Discovered.
Got a free lunch.
Discovered. Tell us about your TV career.
Oh, well.
Back. That's good.
Well, I did Sweet Toes, as
Sure.
Jocko Mahoney used to call it, Sugarfoot, and had to fake it, I had that wonderful horse who I thought was the real star of the show because he made me look a lot better than I was. And then after Sugarfoot, I became the king of the unsold pilots. I mean, everything I did, it didn't sell, but I did one that I really liked called Gun Shy, where I could really be a funny cowboy. Because I was always trying to sneak jokes into Sugarfoot, and they'd cut a lot of them out, I always wanted to be this funny guy on the screen. And so I made this one called Gun Shy, a goofy cowboy. And my hero when I was a kid was Harold Lloyd.
Awesome.
My grandparents lived right next to his dad, Foxy
Really?
Lloyd. And I grew up with the lore of Harold Lloyd. I got to meet him once. Did you know he only had 3 fingers on his right hand? Mm-hmm. His thumb and forefinger were blown off by a prop bomb.
Train wasn't it?
Prop bomb.
Yeah.
And so I got to meet him once, but I did this thing, and I did a funny fall in it, and I copied a fall I'd seen him do in a picture called Professor Beware. And as fate would have it, it was for Screen Gems over at Columbia, and as fate would have it, he saw that pilot, and he said, "By Jove," or what words to that effect, "that's the only guy I know of that can do my kind of stuff. We ought to get together and do a pilot and do a TV series." And actually that was going to be like the greatest dream you could ever dream was going to come true. And I was going to play a small town veterinarian. We had the first shot worked out. I'm walking to work. It's a small town. I'm walking to work, and all the dogs and the cats follow me down the street. But that's as far as it got. He was getting pretty old by then, and about my age, and kind of lost his momentum.
Well, now, in some different things I've read, they compared you when, according to what I read, they said when you were chosen for the part of Sugarfoot, it was because you reminded them of...
Oh, yeah, well, when I went to work at Warner Brothers, my name was Marshall Lowell Hutchison. They thought that was too long, so they shortened it to Will Hutchins. A year later, they hired Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. But I did these test scenes to get my contract, and one of the guys that directed me was David Butler, who directed Will Rogers' last movie in Old Kentucky, which is did you ever see an Old Kentucky?
Oh yeah, very incredible.
He tap dances just as good as Bill Bojangles Robinson. Mm-hmm. There was no end to that guy's talent. Well, I guess I reminded David Butler a little bit of, I don't know why, but I did in some way remind him of Will Rogers, so they shortened my name to Will Rogers Jr. No, they didn't. No, it was Will Hutchins.
And if you're familiar with Will Rogers, just an incredible entertainer and comedian.
And he was a terrific actor.
Very good.
He made up a lot of his own dialogue because he didn't have time to learn the script. He was always busy doing so many. He was the most popular newspaper columnist I think there ever was in America.
Just a tremendous talent, died tragically, of course, in an airplane crash. And Will reminded, correct me if I'm wrong, reminded this director of him.
Yeah.
And you were chosen for the part of Sugarfoot, somewhat based on that. Am I correct?
I did a few bucolic, country bumpkin kind of parts for them, and then it kind of evolved into Sugarfoot. And this is a coincidence, too. Sugarfoot was based on a movie called The Boy from Oklahoma, starring Will Rogers Jr.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, with Sugarfoot, if you would share with us real quick, budget, shooting schedule, that in a nutshell. Big budget, small budget, quickly, got to get it done, got to move it.
Warner Brothers here.
Oh, well, there you go.
We never left the back lot or the sound stage. Sometimes we use stock footage from expensive westerns, and I always knew we were using stock footage because I didn't have to wear my regular outfit. I got to wear Errol Flynn's shirt once and Walter Brennan's belt, and my biggest thrill was wearing Humphrey Bogart's pants.